Okay. Yeah, yeah, you got
Am I start or is Jill starting?
it. 30 seconds for Amtlai. Bring in Amichai, please.
Good morning. Morning has broken here in Harlem in New York City. I'm in my backyard. I see the fiddlers on the roof in Los Angeles with my sibling Jill and their family and whoever is online, whether you've been up all night or just getting started or just happened to hit this channel. This is the magical, mystical moment in the Jewish calendar when 50 days after the Passover Seder, we're out of the narrow place of our inner narrowness and we're expanded into dawn consciousness. That's what's happening here right now. What a crazy privilege to be doing this on Zoom in the middle of this pandemic. I'm Amichai Lau-Lavie here in New York with Jill Soloway and friends in a meditative exploration of mystery to these luminous moments. Entire night looking into what are those ancient 10 commandments, 10 tips for good living are all about in a whole new way. And Jill and I have some thoughts about, do we need the 10? What's the 11th? What's the 12th? What's the first? What's the only? What's the new? How do we postmodernize this whole thing, and how do we access the inner spirit of this whole story? So I'll say one more thing before handing it over to Jill as we just begin this gorgeous exploration. And that is, this tradition of staying up all night is medieval, and it's attributed to some great mystics who say that Torah, wisdom, is like the mother of the world. This is the moment when she's a bride. And if you stay up all night on this night, deliciously tasting wisdom. You are like adding one pearl after the other to the pearl necklace, which is as large as DNA strand of infinity, with which the bride of wisdom, the mother of all, the presence of all, shows up on this morning to renew the vows between divinity and humanity. So those of us who've been up all night, been up for most of it, like the of eternity, and we white or whatever schmata you got, and maybe you got a mask on, and maybe you are just ready to unmask the mysteries. What a privilege to be here. Jill, I hear the birds on your end, and the birds are singing here. Morning has broken. There you are, sitting on some hillside with a schmata on your head. Yeah, you look epic. You look biblical.
Gary, I'll stay up all night. I'm ready to welcome Johnny.
Yes.
Well, where do we want to start? Do we want to start with, tell me, Amichai, I'm just sort of following you.
Well, we're going to get in just a couple of moments into this mysterious amulet that has been discovered, that and the archetypes that have risen from it that we think is critical. So, but before we do that, I really think we just want to like set the intention for the session. Whoever's with us, we are wrapping up a night of being together in 3 different tracks. People from all over the world have been up all night adding pearls to the necklace of creation. Jewish, not Jewish. What I think distinguishes what Jill and I are doing and coming out of this reboot family is that we are into thinking about this in post-patriarchal ways, in neo-Semitic ways, beyond binary, beyond the either or, Jew, non-Jew, male, female. We're figuring out a new reality here, and the pandemic calls on us to come out of our caves into a new type of reality. And we have some mysteries that have been unveiled during these last 50 days we want to share. Production.
I guess start with the amulet.
Yeah.
I love the idea that back when there were plagues long ago, you put these words on your door and they would protect you. And I kept asking you after you sent it to me, what does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? And you eventually taught me some of the words in the amulet, including something that I sort of translated as to protect yourself from the plague. Say my name. I am the mother of Moses. I am the mother of Abraham. I am Amtlai. I am daughter of Carnival.
Right. So hold off for just a moment on the mother of the Abrahamics. Let's get there. I think we have a teeny bit of music to get us into heart space. This night has been about so many words. Let's be in the body. I think Craig and friends are making this gorgeous music. So let's just go there for a moment and then let's talk about the amulet. There she is, right on the screen, Jill. Can you see it? Well, apology for the
That's Joe Wilkins entered the camera, and then right now there's some painters that are coming in behind her, and they're going to start writing Amtlai on the logo behind her. I love that girl.
Michael, you will cue me when to start. Okay.
Okay.
Jill, this is morning practice. Baruch atiyah Eloheinu ruach ha-tzuvah. This prayer shawl that I inherited and been put every day for 5 years, and every day during this plague, early in the morning, to commune with an inner sense of trust and be cocooned in this ancient shawl of protection from the ancestors and with all that is. So I want to share with you the story of this amulet, and to say that until very recently, let's say March 15th, I would not have looked at amulets with anything but anthropological curiosity. But then around mid-March, just as I went into self-quarantine, that became all of our quarantine, and I've now been in for 75 days in, this thing popped up on my screen, not this printed version, an amulet from the 19th century written by Moshe Teitelbaum, a Hungarian Jew, a rabbi, who made a living out of writing amulets. And amulets are these iconic documents that you use superstitiously, mystically, to protect yourself from harm. They exist in all cultures, whether they're words or whether they're images. Lived through several plagues in Europe in the late 18th and early 19th century, and this one comes apparently from the earliest 19th century. I'll read you what it says in English, and we'll focus on the main thing we want to understand here. It says, "Blessed God, Baruch Hashem, Shmira leMagefa, a protection for plague, God forbid, tested and approved by the righteous Rabbi, our teacher, Rabbi Moshe Teitelbaum of blessed memory." This is credited. "Through this gate, no sorrow enters. Through this door, no fear enters. Through this portal, no murder enters." And then Pinchas rose and prayed, and the plague stopped. That's a verse from the Torah. And then there's a prayer. "O Master of the world," let's just say, sovereign of all, presence of everything, as you passed over the homes of Israel in Egypt and did not let the destroyer enter their homes, so shall you stop the destroyer from entering our homes and the homes of all Israel. Amen, Selah. And then comes the strange little box on the bottom that says, "The mother of Abraham, our father, Amtlai, bat, daughter of Kernavo, and Serach, the daughter of Ashel, granddaughter of Jacob." And on the bottom it says in Yiddish, "Here we have already suffered from pox, measles, scarlet fever, and survived." And on the very bottom it says, "Copyright applies." So here's a amulet. It showed up on my screen mid-March. I immediately said, "What the heck is this?" I began researching it. I printed it. I sent it around. On March 25th, I created my first spiritual study survival skills salon on Zoom, and we started talking about this amulet. And what we discovered was that inside this are two feminine architecture. One is a little bit known, Serach bat Asher, the granddaughter of Jacob. There are amazing stories about her living forever, or at least for thousands of years. She is the bringer of song, the bringer of hope, the holder of the secret code for liberation. She's the and more about her. The other is lesser known, Amtlai, mother of Abraham. And when we were sitting on the call that night, the Zoom call with my teacher friend, Rabbi Jill Hammer, and Alicia Jo Rabins, all paganic, shamanic, Hebrew sisters, we realized that Amtlai is the grandmother of the world. She is the bubby of bubbies. She is the one who isn't Abraham. She is pre-patriarchy. She is the mother of all. And she is on this amulet. We don't know why Teitelbaum came up with it and what's the tradition, so that we who need help from our fears and from whatever in the world is ravaging our trust are leaning into the grandmother of the world. And that's where my sibling, Jill Soloway, comes in gratitude, grandmother nature, for holding us right now, pruning and growing and hurting and loving, coming from love and not from fear. We want to know Amtlai, who's being described on the billboard behind you and sung to and danced to and printed in amulets. And I don't know what the heck Jill's doing. It looks great. Look at those beautiful plants. No, that's a microphone. It's a plant. It's a microphone. It's a plant. It's a microphone plant. Jill, what do we have to say to Amtlai, our great grandmother? Oh, we have sound issues, but you look great.
Thanks.
And those hands. Yes.
Amtlai for you. Ready? She's coming in. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
She's saying, what? You never asked about Abraham's mother? Wait, what? It took all the way to Shavuos for you to say who was Abraham's mother? Oh no! That there was a grandmother for the Jews and the Christians and the Muslims. Yes! I've been sitting here in the dark all this time. Who's Abraham's mother? Why did you not ask? Did you think Abraham was hatched from an egg like L. Ron Hubbard? Didn't it occur to any of you that Abraham came out of somebody's vagina, somebody's womb? My story has not been told. If you Google me, Amtlai, there is but one result. Amichai, how did we not know about Amtlai? Tell me.
Very
She's like the water.
purposefully. She was repressed, like all of the goddess, like all of the matriarchal, maternal, feminine
What?
secret.
You never asked about Abraham's mother?
She's echoing.
Are you going to say who was Abraham's mother? Oh no! This is a grandmother for the Jews and the Christians and the Muslims.
What's happening?
I'm sitting here in the dark all this time. Who's Abraham's mother? Why did you not ask? Did you think Abraham was hatched? I am the mother of Abraham. I love Sarah and the garden. I'm Amtlai. I am the Earth's grandmother. Did you Google me, Amtlai? There is but one I'm about to say. Amichai,
You know what? Maybe it's not Amtlai, Jill. Maybe it's Umtalai, because in Arabic means the mother.
What? It took all the way to Shavuos.
Amtalai, Amtalai, Bakhanabo, Amtalai, Bakhanabo, Amtalai. So you know what's so crazy about Amtalai, Jill?
Sounds like Amichai.
No, no. Well, I am honored to be a little speck in the DNA chain that connects us to this mystery and whoever this matriarch was. You know, the Torah that we're just celebrating being received tonight is comprised of two parts: the written, the linear, the words, the left brain, very masculine and patriarchal. We got that Torah, but at the same time, there's the spoken Torah, there's the oral Torah, there's the live Torah, there's the art Torah, there's the body Torah, there's the embodied Torah, and that keeps changing, and that's right, and that's more masculine, more intuitive, linear. And Amtalai is not in the written Torah. She isn't in the masculine, patriarchal, Abrahamic, this is the law. She's in the heart Torah. She's in the body Torah, in the consciousness Torah. She's in the superstitious Torah, in the oral words of our mouth Torah. She's in the art that's been created behind you Torah. And she's emerging right now because we're at a paradigm shift from the patriarchal Judaism and Semitism and monotheism we've known for thousands of years, but that's not the only story. There's a story that came before Abraham. There's a story that came before Moses. And that's a story that's emerging right now out of the crisis of the pandemic. As we're interconnected as humans, we're interconnected not into our Semitic tribal ancestors, but to our global ancestors. And it's not Adam and Eve exactly. So it's Amtalai, this mysterious mother of Abraham. We know a little bit about her and about her husband Terach, who was the father of Abraham, and they worshipped idols, meaning they manifested the divine in images, which monotheists and abstractists sneeze at. And the second commandment, images. We mean that it's not about the image, it's about imagination, the imagination of the sacred. And when we are scared shitless, as we are right now, with over 100,000 killed in this country, and hundreds of thousands in the world, who do we turn to? Grandmother nature. And that's who Amtalai is. To have this on my Facebook cover and on my door. Jill, I know you have this on your door. This is just a way to say beyond the words, beyond the fears, we believe there is a great grandmother in the world, and her name is nature. Her name is Gaia. Her name is love. Their name is this. Beyond gender. We only use feminine because it's a little better than the masculine in this context, but it's not about gender. It's really about our nature. Our better nature. There's some more to say, but there's really nothing to say. Yes. Jill, you look so comfortable there lying in the lap of grandmother nature. And to all you artists who brought this ancient mysterious name to life and these letters and these scribbles, these are but the ripples of a wave on an ocean larger than anything we know, and yet we feel it in every bit of our being. You know, I didn't know my grandmothers. My father's mother was killed in a concentration camp. My mother's mother died when I was 4. I remember her smell. I remember her lovely. My mother was Sarah, Celine. My father's mother's name was Chaya, alive, Helena. But I just thought of my grandmothers now. And my great, 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 great grandmothers. And how when I'm scared, there's a part of me that just wants to run and hide with grandma. And I think humanity right now is like seeking the blessing of the grandmother and the protection of our grandmothers and grandfathers and grandparents. And that nature, that earth you're sitting on right now, laying on right now like a baby in your semi-baby pose, the earth that you are caressing right now, there in LA, yeah. Here, I'm holding up the mud from my sweet peas and squash that I planted mid-March and are now coming up across these screens that are maybe man-made but are nature created. Yeah, we're one thing. There's no separation. It's interconnected. Jill, if you reach out your hand to the screen just in front of you, I'm reaching mine to yours. And I'm inviting everyone, wherever you're watching, just put your hands like that to the screen. Just feel the energy of our grandmother nature inside ourselves. I think we can feel this energy. I know this is woo-woo, but hello, if this is not going to be a moment to be woo-woo, what is? Let's channel the blessing of our ancestors. Not even our human ancestors. Pre-human, pre-Semitic, pre-verbal.
Today, before this was Shavuot and the celebration of the Ten Commandments, was the celebration.
The summer harvest, the Bikurim, the firstborn of summer were offered. The wheat was celebrated. The birth of every year again. And the rabbis introduced the notion of night. But this is the holy night and the holy day of celebrating the bounty, the abundance, and the fact that this is the 50th day since we're leaving Egypt, since the Seder, meaning that every year we count 50 days, 7 times 7, 7 weeks, and then we arrive at 50. Today is 50. From the narrowest place of I can't breathe, as George Floyd this week reminded us.
Can't breathe.
That's what Egypt means. That's what Mitzrayim means. I can't breathe. It's narrow-mindedness. It's the narrow straits of enslavement, of mental enslavement, of hierarchy enslavement, of greed, of evil. And every year we say, I'm going to get out of this narrow place of where I can't breathe, and I'm going to count for 49 days. And on the 50th, I'm going to arrive at a place that honors discipline and purpose and continuity. And I'm going to get to a place, I'm on top of Mount Sinai, and I'm seeing 360, and I can breathe. And there's expansiveness, and there's divinity that meets humanity. And it isn't transcendent, imminent. And we have to rise up to this human obligation. These 10 commandments are really about just one. V'ahavta. Love, lean into love, get over the fear, get into love. And all those 10 figures, 10 commandments, they're fantastic. They're about love, and they're about justice, and they're about honoring our ancestors and keeping sacred time and finding a sense of I, and not being distracted and not coveting and desiring what we don't need, just honoring, loving life and loving. And that's for me what this Shavuot is about. This offering of coming back to life, and the fact that Amtlai came to visit us in the middle of this crisis, in the middle of this amulet. I don't know what it means yet. I just know that billions of people on this planet need healing and need, as we all do, hope. And we need to be there with each other, interconnected, otherwise we're all screwed. And the grandmother of the planet says, forget Jewish, forget Christian, forget Muslim, forget male and female, forget black and white, forget rich and poor. Get into the deeper core of this interconnectedness from the womb of the great creatrix of it all. It's like so simple. And we keep forgetting. So we need to be in the heart.
Yeah, before we go, Amichai, when people ask what we will do, sometimes people just say her name. Ask people to say what happened with her and to see what people say. What people are like, what happened? That's really the word that Amtlai wants my name said. So, we're ready.
Amen. You know, we've leaned from the linear and the medical and the science and what has sustained humanity for the last few hundred years into a place of both and, where yes, science, thank you Dr. Fauci, thank you medical wisdom, and faith and trust and faith and Jill and all of you. Yes, both and. That these aspects superstitions, as they call them, these mystical truths, are inviting us to, in our lips, put the words of these mysterious ancestresses, with our hands, that we can once again touch each other safely, that we can like step out of our narrow place and be there for each other in all ways that we can and for ourselves. I love that we're doing this. This is so wacky. And I'm so grateful for Reboot for connecting us so many years ago, Jill. And I want to say we're about to end, but I am inviting you for part 2 of this. We have more about Amtlai and how this is practical wisdom at this point. Plus, there's the other mysterious crone in this amulet, Serach Bat Asher, the granddaughter of Jacob, who helped the people out of Egypt, out of the narrow place, into trust and into justice. So we're going to visit her again on Saturday night at our Reveal-a-thon. So this was part 1 of honoring mystery on the night of mystery, and we're going to reveal the rest in a couple of nights, and that might be a continuation of a series of observations at liminal moments such as dawn is rising and the 50th day is here to remind us to climb every mountain and demand justice so everybody can breathe, so we can all breathe. So the earth can breathe. Michael, do we have one last word to say thank you? Over the Say one. Okay, now. Fiddler on the Roof, thank you. Tradition, tradition. I want to say thank you for the opportunity to be with you at this dawn hour with Jill and friends. I want to do a huge shout out and thank you to all the amazing people behind the screens, the tech folks, the logistics folks, the sound folks, alongside with thank you for all the first responders and everybody. We're going to clap at 7 p.m., but let's clap at whatever the hell. It's 9 a.m. here in New York. Thank you for everybody embodying the spirit of the universe to add love to the world today, and for the Reboot folks who are up all night teaching and learning and watching, and the Jewish Emergent Network folks, and everybody who was up tonight to raise this dawn together. What a bunch of crazy people we are. Helpful to our soul bodies and society. Chag Sameach, happy revelation. I'll now go get some sleep. Actually, no. Wake up, wake up, wake up. This is a wake-up call. I think with this, we'll wrap this up. Thank you to everybody who did Reboot on this, all the foundations and individuals. Thank you to Amtlai, great, 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 great parent of the world. Thank you, Jill.